Hey everybody, welcome back to the Donnie B channel. Thanks for watching. So today's video, we're going to be installing a new set of valve covers onto my 1987 Mustang GT. Now these aren't just any run-of-the-mill fabricated aluminum valve covers. These were actually designed and made with a purpose for us, and these are going to be actually sold through Anderson Ford Motorsport. These are a universal tall design, so they're meant to be able to work with pretty much any small block Ford setup and pretty much almost any roller rocker setup that you could be running. So we went with the universal tall design here, and they are lightweight fabricated aluminum. But not just that, these are actually meant for supercharged and turbocharged applications, and there's a couple different features on these valve covers here that actually are meant for those. So one of the main ones is actually this cut right here on this valve cover. As you can see, there's a large angled cut here on this valve cover, and what it's meant for is for superchargers that are on the passenger side. Most supercharger kits like Vortec or Paxton on a Fox Body setup, usually with the bracketry in the head unit, your inlet system, if you're running like a power pipe or something with a 4-inch inlet, most of the time the coupler will actually hit the valve cover or hit the cylinder head, and therefore it makes it harder to put the pipe in or tighten the clamp on it. So this actually provides you extra clearance to be able to put on the coupler and the inlet system without any interference. Another cool feature is that since that cut is made like this, you can actually have better clearance for your factory fuel lines if you're still running them up through this, the factory location, and also spark plug wires if you're like a turbo guy like me, having this extra space here to fish spark plug wires instead of going over the valve cover and actually possibly hitting the downpipe or one of the headers. It's a nice function there. Also, one of the key features on these valve covers is these fittings right here. These are Dash 8 AN fittings that are aluminum welded onto the valve cover. Now what this will allow you to do is allow you to put universal female AN fittings on here, either a 90 or straight, however you want to do it, and run lines to a remote catch can setup. So again, for guys that need to vent the crankcase pressure from your supercharged or turbocharged application, these puppies will be exactly what you need. Now also with the fill tube is a non-baffled design, and also the cap here is actually an externally threaded cap, and that way in case you guys need a little bit to vent more pressure, if you're making a good excessive amount of boost, I guess, beyond what the typical street car guy has, it allows you to use a clamp-on style breather filter if you need to. The main caveat to these valve covers, since they are a universal design, is that we do have to most likely run an intake spacer, which I do have one here for my RPM2 intake manifold. Now of course, in our prototype stage, we did go ahead and test fit these valve covers with a few different popular intake manifold options that are either still out there that you can purchase on the used market, or the ones that you can still purchase right now on brand new. And so we test fit most of those intake manifolds, and any of the standard high-rise intake manifolds like the Edelbrock Super Victors or the Edelbrock RPM1 intakes that are designed for taller valve covers, those will clear with no problem. But if you have like a long runner intake manifold that's a little bit lower profile, like a GT40 tubular or a Cobra, or the Trickflow Track Heat, Holley Systemax, we've done the testing and we've confirmed that they do fit with a 3/8 spacer. Now, a 3/8 spacer is not that large, but you could possibly run into hood clearance issues, so just be mindful of that. Now, most guys are running aftermarket hoods and stuff along those lines, but you still may be able to get away with not having to modify the hood. I can't confirm that today because I already have an aftermarket cowl hood on my car. So just keep that in mind if you're looking to purchase these valve covers. I'm super excited to get these installed on the car. The finish on these is a beautiful powder-coated satin black finish, kind of, again, more into that universal look. And we also offer them in a fully polished aluminum and a bare aluminum if you wanted to paint them or powder coat them yourselves or polish them yourselves, and it allows you to save a little money as well. Alright, so valve covers are pretty straightforward for installation. I'm not going to bore you with a how-to on it to change out valve covers, but I'll set you up on a little time lapse. We'll get them on my car, and I'll show you guys in regards to the clearance with the intake manifold I have, and show you why the spacer is needed. Alright, let's get to it. Alright guys, just a sneak preview. We got the driver's side on here. It's not tightened down yet, but something to note is that if you're running the Ford Racing or studs on your valve covers, on your cylinder heads, you'll need to remove the studs in order to get the valve cover to clear over the rocker, and then you can reinsert the studs and then it'll clear no problem. So pretty cool. Looks good in there, and as you guys can tell, there's not a whole lot of difference in height between them, but you can definitely see that they're a little bit taller in comparison. So let's go ahead and get it snug down. We'll move on to the passenger side. Here's the passenger side. This one, of course, for me was a little more difficult than probably a normal person's because of the turbo that I have. I ended up having to remove the downpipe or just loosening it so that way I can actually get to all the bolts. But it does fit in there. And you see that cut here works great for me because of my fuel pressure gauge right here, and it gives me all kinds of clearance through factory fuel lines, so that's where it comes in handy. Pretty cool looking. Alright, time to button everything up and get the intake back on, and I'll show you guys, I'll probably go ahead and show you guys how much clearance there is with the intake manifold before the spacer. Well, to my surprise, the Edelbrock RPM2 intake clears no problem. I even put the throttle cable bracket up in there to make sure it wasn't going to hit, but as you can see, there's plenty of clearance. When you saw the size comparison on the table, you saw that there was not much of a difference, and actually I forgot, with the angle right here being straight, that makes up for it. So therefore the RPM2 intake manifold does not require a spacer. But we did test it with some other intake manifolds, like I said, the Holley Systemax, the Cobra, the GT40 tubular intake. Those did require a 3/8 spacer to clear. But much to my surprise, the RPM2 intake manifold clears no problem. I'm going to go ahead and button everything back up, and then we'll start doing things for the catch can. I'm really happy that I did have to run the spacer. It wouldn't have been a problem if I did have to run one, but it's nice to know that the RPM2 fits without a hitch. But just to give you guys an idea of what I'm going to be doing for the AN fittings and catch can system, let's go ahead and take a look here. So as you guys can see, let's see if I can get a good look at this for you guys. I'm just running a little 90-degree AN fitting with a push lock end on it, so I can literally put this any orientation I want it, and therefore it'll look nice and clean. Let's take a look at the other side here. Alright. There we go. So yeah, it's going nice and clean. I'll go ahead and route my hoses real quick and show you guys where this is going to go. Again, you can do any setup you want, but this is kind of universal here, and it's going to look nice and clean. Alright, so as you can see, I have my lines running through the bottom of the intake manifold here, under the upper intake I should say, and the lines just run to my catch can right here. Again, this is just the way that I did it. You can mount yours anywhere you want, but these valve covers, you have essentially endless possibilities of what you want to do. Gives you plenty of options to go with. I'm extremely happy with them. Excited to bring these to market. I'm not going to touch on the PCV because that is something for another time. I'm just going to leave my oil separator in there for now. I'll probably end up deleting the PCV altogether since I have both valve covers vented to a catch can. So it looks nice and clean. Nice little setup here. I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. And I think you guys will be happy too if you're looking for a set of valve covers that have a purpose to them. Yep, very, very cool. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up this installation here. Wasn't too bad. I did it here in an evening. They look good. They look nice and aggressive under the hood. They work with the Edelbrock RPM2 intake manifold, where I didn't have to run an intake spacer, which is really nice. I could always add one down the road since I have one. But yeah, of course, having those AN fittings in the back, you have endless possibilities of how you want to vent your crankcase pressure, being a supercharged or turbocharged application. So I'm super happy about how that all turned out. And yeah, super excited to bring these to market. So that's going to do it, guys. If you like my content, please like, share, and subscribe. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.